1 year after completion of the first march in memory of Professor Dr. Prof Ubl, where I completed the entire length of the Danube Limes in Austria with 350 kilometers in total, we want to redo the entire experience, but section-wise each year. That means this year we're going to walk one section, namely from Wallsee to Enns, which is about between 25 to 30 kilometers. Since the last attempt I haven't had that much time to change a lot of things on my gear, but there's some crucial changes and I'm going to just quickly show you what those are. Initial setup is the same. My shoes are repaired. They're actually the same shoes that I used last year that were completely falling apart. I sent them back to Meister Knierim. They have now reinforced heels and are basically the same shoes. Trousers are the same as well. You can see I'm wearing my fishtail knife here underneath the tunic and on my main belt. It's a hypothesis because we mainly see no iconography where we actually see soldiers wearing this knife somewhere on the outside, on the main belt. So I'm keeping this underneath. It works quite well also while riding on horseback. So then I'm wearing my red tunic, my tunica militaris. You can see it's quite worn and torn. It has shrunk since last time when it was new. I don't know exactly why. Anyway, that's the size now. Most notable change to last year has been the supermalis or the under armor. It's still made from felt. I've just changed from green to red felt. It is a bit thicker and it has now the shape of a long armed tunic. The bottom of it is a bit wider and it tapers a little bit to the arms for the simple reason that if I have a very wide body here, it just all accumulates under the chainmail and doesn't sit very well. So it has a bit of an A shape so that I can still move without needing slits. Here we can see how the entire thing fits together with the chainmail. I'm using my almost knee-length chainmail with short sleeves. And you can see the supermalis protrudes a little bit, so that it solves the problem that I had last year where my supermalis was a bit shorter than my actual chainmail, which made that the entire thing always kept coming up and gathering around here, and then there being no protection on my trousers from the chainmail actually. So I hope this will solve it now. I'm still using the side slits in the chainmail. I'm still not yet completely convinced that what the advantages of this are. So far in all my experiments, the front and back slits have been more comfortable for me and have had several advantages while walking and while obviously sitting on a horse. So I'm still waiting to discover the advantage of this setup. Over the armor I'm going to wear this tunic that is made from goat's hair and which I got in the desert in Morocco. It loosely has the shape of a square tunic from early centuries, so nothing too adventurous. It's very neutral, so I thought I could just use it for the purpose of seeing how it fares. In my previous experiments, like my 19-day armor challenge or 14-day armor challenge as it is on YouTube, I wore the chainmail as the exterior layer and wore my belts and my swords and everything on top of it. The result was that my belt and my swords, etc., got deteriorated by rubbing against the chainmail, especially with all the flat rings in here and with the rivets, creating a rough surface. So looking back at ancient sources and texts, we can see that the concept of wearing something over your armor in antiquity was present. People knew that you can protect, or you need to protect your armor from weather, etc., but you need also to protect your equipment, most likely from your armor. So that's why I went with this, as we got a description: goat or goat's hair or goat felt, or a goat pelt, supposedly to also rub against the armor to clean it. It's different interpretations. There's not only that passage, there's also the other one where soldiers are described to take off whatever cover they have over their armor and over their shields, which meant that they get ready for battle, so that you are actually in battle with your armor as the top garment. And this is how it works. So as we can see, square protects almost everything quite well. For the shape, the form and the stripes on it, we have a few garments for textile rests from antiquity with this very generic sort of pattern, so nothing speaking against the use of it. in my opinion. And now I just wear my military belt around it as if it were a tunic, and it really protected both all my other garments like my cloak, etc., over the chainmail, that it didn't get black and rusty, and it also protects all my other equipment that I wear. Still wearing my military belt on top as a sign of that I'm part of the military. And the rest of it can just be worn like a normal tunic. So I have a protection from underneath and a protection from over the armor. And even though I don't look as spectacular now as a soldier that would wear his armor as an exterior layer, shining everything, I think this is very functional and probably truer to soldiers' everyday realities than what we reenactors usually show when we're on the march, etc., and we wear armor on as the outer layer, especially in late antiquity. On top of it, I wear my spata, then a bag with my personal belongings and stuff I need to access most immediately, like spoons, bowls for drinking, etc. And on a rainy day or a bad weather day, or when it's cold, I would wear my military cloak over it, have everything underneath, and it gives me an additional layer for other things to carry, like my shield or my helmet bag. The helmet's in there. For more equipment, like spare sets of clothes or some sandals or whatever else it is, my food reserves, etc., I use this sheepskin bag, which I can just close up here, and with any system I just have a very thin cord here, but I can use any other sort of transportation system. Sling it over my back, or alternatively, of course, you can also transport it on a stick. I tried that at the start. It doesn't really work very well with my oval shield, so I continue to carry just slung over my shoulder like that. Now with this, we're going to see how it functions this time, and all the rest will be shared after the march. We're again here at Wallsee, which was either Locus Felicis or Adjuvense, and we're starting our march exactly at the site of the Roman castrum here, which was on this very hill and located mostly in this beautiful palace there. Here's the Roman Museum. It's again not open like last year when I was here, and we have about 25 kilometers in front of us. The weather is bad as usual. Now we're heading down to the Danube in direction of Lauriacum. We have several our 1st century legionnaires and one rider with us this time from an amazing group, Ursi Aurei from St. Pölten. So we hope to make this a yearly sort of march and occasion. This year it's a little bit bigger already than last time when I walked alone for half of the travel on the trajectory, and we're trying to make it bigger each year. What did change since I came here last time in my setup? You see I'm still carrying the shield in this way on one shoulder, stabilized by my elbow. I still don't think that's the ideal way of carrying this kind of shield. Works for one day or two, well, works even for several days, but it certainly is strenuous for your elbow and not the most ideal. I have a new spear finally with a spear tip. Last time I lost it. New super malleus with long sleeves and it's a bit longer, less annoying than the old one that was a bit too short and always got in the way. And I have a longer and heavier chainmail with side slits like last time, but we're gonna try it out how it works. The new shape of the super malleus together with the longer flaps should protect a little bit better. Ah, fresh. What is very surprising is that I am wearing the same shoes that I did last spring when I walked here. They were completely destroyed by the end of the journey. Yet, sent them into my Stagnirim and he repaired them. They are as brand new and can serve me for many, many more miles and kilometers. It's brilliant. Never would have thought that. I thought these were done forever. Something else that's fascinating is that here, walking on a hard surface, a tarmac, I can kind of feel the nailing pattern of the shoes, but in a very kind of pleasant way. It's almost massaging my feet, soles, and preventing them from cramping. So, slightly anyway. For now, that feels quite nice. Where are we here? Oh, mud. Dann wären wir mal hier. Muss ich gleich fragen, was machst du für eine Darstellung genau?
Ich bin ein Kavallerist aus dem 1. Jahrhundert nach Christus, von der Legionskavallerie. Und heute auch mit Pferd und manche Sachen da.
Wie viel Kilo hat ungefähr die Ausrüstung, die du mit hast?
Relativ angenehm im Gegensatz zu der Infanteriedarstellung, die ich sonst mache. Gerade das Kettenhemd das schwerste wahrscheinlich mit 8 Kilo oder so. Kommt das Schild noch einmal mit 3-4 Kilo dazu. Ja, vielleicht sind es 15 Kilo insgesamt.
Okay. Wie alt ist das Pferd?
Das Pferd ist jetzt 13 Jahre alt.
Und wie heißt er?
Secundus, der zweite, weil er ein zweites Pferd ist.
Und ist ursprünglich Western ausgebildet.
Genau.
Und jetzt, seit wie vielen Jahren bei euch im Training?
Jetzt seit gut einem Jahr erst eigentlich. Aber indem er schon 13 Jahre ist und schon die Ausbildung hatte, können wir eigentlich voll gut mit ihm arbeiten.
Super.
Wir trainieren auch mit Western und lassen uns jetzt den Sattel ordentlich anpassen.
Und ihr habt dann vor, auch noch weitere Pferde für eure Gruppe auszubilden?
Genau, wir haben immer ein zweites Pferd. Müssen wir schauen, ob wir das breitfähig kriegen. Und ja, eigentlich möchten wir gerne 3 Kavalleriedarstellungen zumindest machen. Aber das ist noch ein Weg dahin.
Na, wie geht's so auf den ersten Kilometern?
Ja, eigentlich recht okay, muss ich sagen.
Ja?
Ja,
Wetter hält auch ganz gut derweil.
das stimmt.
Nicht zu warm, nicht zu kalt.
Ja, durch die Bewegung wird es halt ein bisschen wärmer.
Stimmt schon, ja.
Ja, ich spüre halt meine Hände nicht mehr so richtig. Das
Okay.
heißt, es ist so ganz wie eingefroren fast, aber es schmerzt nicht. Also es ist schon,
Okay.
es geht.
Und wie geht's mit den Schultern und dem Schild?
Ich merke das Schild ein bisschen, also vom Gewicht her, aber sonst, ja, geht schon. Ja.
Super, super.
Nicht
Und,
so.
und Schuhe auch noch okay.
Schuhe sind super, haben sich sehr gut bewährt. Genau, ja, sehr angenehm eigentlich jetzt so.
Sehr gut. Schauen wir mal, wo die anderen sind. Die sind ein bisschen vorgeprescht. Da kommen sie schon. Da hinten haben wir Wallsee. Schön gechillt.
Sowieso.
We're now here back in this forest where I looked for the burgos last year and fell into the water. We're gonna try to not fall in the water this time, as it's a bit colder than last year, where we are here in May. The weather is pretty similar though. Rain, wet, everywhere. My current setup definitely works better than the one I had last time. I'm wearing a heavier chainmail, as I said before. I'm wearing more stuff, and I'm not feeling it as badly. There's still a few things to change, like the shield carrying mechanism. Now carrying it on one shoulder mainly with a stabilization strap here over the other shoulder, and it needs to be fixed a little bit better on the shield, so I'm still not entirely happy. My bags are now slung over the other shoulder so that I have approximately equal weight on both shoulders. That works fine in theory. The shield still sits a little bit too far at the back, thus I'm still bumping a little bit in my head here. It's not as bad, but it's not a permanent solution either. Another thing that's also getting a little bit annoying and frustrating is that the new Super Malis gets all the excess fabric somehow gets gathered by my movement and by the chainmail at the front. So there's basically, it's very tight at the back of my knees, so it's kind of hampering my way of movement. And yeah, it feels as if I have a rope around my legs, not allowing me free range of steps. Very annoying. But I don't know how to change that, because the chainmail virtually always gathers everything to the front, even now with the side slits. I was complaining about that before when I had front and back slits in the chainmail, but now even with the side slits it gathers all the fabric to the front, and I feel like somebody's permanently holding a rope to your knees at the back. Posca really is a fascinating drink. I have about 1.5 liters with me here, and we're at half the way. I've only used about a bit more than half a liter, and I've also shared some with the others. It really keeps me going in a fascinating way. I experienced it already last year in the big march, first half of which I did fueled on posca, second half I did mainly fueled on Gatorade, and I had to really consume more Gatorade to keep going than I did with posca. I have to say, well, there's the sugar from the honey, which obviously gives you energy. Then there's the salt, which helps you replenish lost minerals, and then the vinegar really helps you quench the thirst. And if you are doing something exhausting and going and it's hot and you're getting hot, there's no worse feeling than to drink something and feel it almost doesn't quench your thirst. You're drinking a sip, you need the next sip, you need the next sip, and it just doesn't satisfy your feeling of thirst. The vinegar really quenches it lastingly, because you have the taste of it in your mouth for quite a while, but in a pleasant way, I find. And I use much less than I would with, for example, Gatorade or another sugary drink. So really fascinating. Und wie geht's sich so bis jetzt? Gut? Nicht schwer?
Das schon, aber es geht.
Auch alles gut?
Ja, man wird mich schon bemerkbarer, aber sonst ganz okay.
Ich frage mich, wie viele Kilometer haben wir schon jetzt? Und das ist das erste Mal, dass du heute Rüstung anhast.
Genau,
Wahnsinn. Und gleich 25 Kilometer mit dem vollen Gepäck.
wenn schon, denn schon.
Das ist Hardcore. Weapons Igor. So, wem geht's aller schlecht? Da drüben.
Mir geht's blendend.
Und bei euch beiden?
Außer
Hanging in there. So, Gatschfüße. Three down, three still on the road. We have about 7 to 8 kilometers left. Lauriacum. It's always those last kilometers that are the most strenuous. The back and the feet. As usual, the last kilometers to Enns are always gruesome. You can see the big tower from miles away, and it's just not coming any closer. Really quite exhausted now. Feeling the entire body, with heavy armor, all the equipment. It's grinding you down. The last kilometers. Last 5 or so kilometers. It's been getting slower and slower and slower. But we're almost there. Right.
Museum Lauriacum.
Arrived at the Roman Museum. Oh. I'm too tired to talk now. I'll talk later. There's the rider without the horse.